So welcome to On Bell, Fort Lauderdale, and our first major event of the year. A year, as Jason mentioned, I cannot believe it's 20 years since I got the phone call about this wonderful opportunity of putting this dynamic group together and really sharing ideas and growing, and it gives me great pride and pleasure to watch all of us work together, educate each other and our clients, and really work together as colleagues. So I'd like to thank everyone who's already, Jason, is this you? This is all you. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
You haven't been introduced. Talk to Jason. Thank you again, Master Brokers. I was delighted to see everyone. I'm going to try to sit up the mic. Delighted to see everyone in December at the holiday party. For those of you who missed us, it's really a great time of the year to celebrate and try. If there's one event you're going to not miss, it would surely be our holiday event. It's just much more social. Our development phenomenon that's happening right here in Flagler Village is certainly a big source of optimism for our market. And we look forward to hearing more about it from our friends at On Bell and from our amazing guest presenters this evening. We've made it through the year. We had so many challenges and uncertainties at the end of 2024 that we were really waiting. Everyone was on this pregnant pause of what's going to happen. We had excitement. We had buyers that were ready to go, but just waiting to see. And we've turned this corner. The world is exploding. I mean, from Miami and Broward and Palm Beach, and we look forward to hearing about all of the analytics. So we have real-time data that's going to help all of us. It's impossible not to be optimistic about our chapter when I'm supported by such a fabulous group of dedicated advisory board members who volunteer their precious times. We have, everyone is right here. I hope everyone's, did Sandy come in? There you go. All right. Hi team, thank you very, very much. Appreciate your time as always. And I'd like all Master Brokers, the advisory board, just to give us a wave so we can thank you for your presence. And I need the vice chair. And thank you, Tim Singer. In keeping with the themes of optimism and longevity, we once again recognize Rich Campanella and City National Bank, our extraordinary financial services company. Just always hiding in the back of his presence. It is huge. You can feel him everywhere. I can't believe it's been 20 years. We have deals and challenges and financial markets, and you've always gotten it done, always. And I bring you the most difficult people on the planet, including myself, and I say, Rich. He said, no problem. I said, great. And that's how we go, and that's why we're honored to partner with Rich, and with the backing of City National, it's just been extraordinary. So now let's learn more about this wonderful project at On Bell. Kenny Drysdale, our Director of Sales, I invite you to come up.
Actually, I'm going to shut this off. My voice tends to carry a little louder in here. Good evening, everybody. We've got a lot of familiar faces. Let me just turn on the iPad real quick. Let me get this over. Okay. All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to On Bell, Fort Lauderdale. A lot of familiar faces that have already been in the room. Welcome back. If you haven't been, this is your first time, welcome. We are super excited to present On Bell. As mentioned, Flagler Village, but more importantly, like Fort Lauderdale in general, with new developments exploding. We have 21 plus approved projects alone here in Flagler Village, which equates out to 50% of total approved projects in all of Fort Lauderdale. On Bell Fort Lauderdale itself, there we go. Now we're on. So Anybody not familiar with Flagler Village? Like location-wise, anything? No? We can kind of just point out real quick. So overall, Flagler Village is going to be from Broward Federal to the train tracks up to Sunrise Boulevard and kind of a little penguin-shaped triangle right here. Bell's going to be located directly across the street. It's a 2-acre site on 3rd Avenue and 3rd Street, pretty much in the heart and soul of Flagler Village. And coming in, Fat Village is going to be coming up on 6th Avenue and 6th Street and the train tracks. This is going to be a 5.5-acre parcel of land. There's going to be 3 towers, a little over 176,000 square feet of office space, over 10,000 square feet of retail space, already going vertical right around the 8th or 9th floor right now on this tower. That's right here. Building's already coming up. And then we're also going to have Searstown that's going to be coming up on Sunrise right on 3rd Avenue. Another 5.5-acre parcel of land. It's going to have a hotel component. Another retail tower, over almost 800 total residential units that are coming, almost 200 hotel rooms, office space, retail, all within walking distance to Umbel. Location-wise for Umbel, we're a 10-minute walk to Las Olas Boulevard, and we're also a 10-minute walk to Brightline, connecting us to Miami, Boca Raton, Palm Beach. Now, with the opportunity that we have here specifically, we're very similar square footage and price range. Well, square footage and offers to similar projects in Miami, but Miami tends to be a little bit more expensive. Now we're connecting Miami and Fort Lauderdale markets directly with the Brightline, again, all within a 10-minute walk. Covering Fort Lauderdale, obviously proximity, I'm sure we're all pretty familiar just with the general layout of Fort Lauderdale. 10-minute, as I mentioned, 10-minute walk to Las Olas Airport, International Airport, 10, 15 minutes away. And then getting into Umbel a little bit more specific. So it's going to be 2 towers that sit on top of a 10-story podium, 537 feet to the top of the mechanical, a true architectural masterpiece. ODA is the architect behind the project. One of the unique aspects here is going to be exoskeleton railings that are on the outside of the building itself, along with the buildings going to shift on the north tower to the west and the south tower to the east. And then it's also going to have a shifting aspect in these 2 center columns as they come in and go vertical. Right here's a good demonstration. So as the foot of the tower comes up, it's going to fold into the top of the building. I can comfortably say this is going to be a very unique building, and it's going to change the skyline here in Flagler Village, let alone all of downtown Fort Lauderdale. We're offering 775 fully finished and furnished residences. We have over 100,000 square feet of indoor-outdoor amenity space, which we'll get into. Our podium is going to be 10 stories in total. Actually, let me jump back right here real quick. We have a 10-story podium in total. We're going to have 79 liner units. They're going to be on the north aspect and the south aspect on 3rd Avenue. The center portion right here is going to be the parking garage going throughout. But tying into the whole Flagler Village theme, so to say, with the food, technology, and the art, we're going to have a mural that ODA thought is really important to include onto the building. This is going to be catwalks that you can go in from the parking garage, go into the north aspect and the south aspect of the podium. So it's going to be glass, you're going to have your walkway, and we'll have the murals, micro murals that are on the back of the wall, but from the 30,000-foot viewpoint here, we're going to have one giant mural that's going to come into the building, which really, apart from the architectural design, is going to pull a really cool, unique art feature into the building. So coming up to the top of the tower, we like to use this rendering here just to really express the unique architectural design. Again, the exoskeleton railings, the frameless glass terraces throughout, really keeping that open, spacious, airy feeling throughout all the units. The frameless glass on the terraces is going to have a shoe at the bottom, obviously frameless at the top. When you're inside the residence or if you're hanging out on the terrace itself, not going to have anything that's obstructing your views, so to say. So again, really keeping with that open, spacious, airy feeling throughout the building. Coming back to our podium here, we're actually going to have 2 retail spaces that are going to be on the ground level. We're very close to announcing a large commercial partnership with one of the top trending gyms here in South Florida. This is actually showing out stores right now. We actually added a floor. The gym's going to occupy the entire 2nd floor, which is going to be a little over 30,000 total square feet. Right off of 4th Street and 3rd Avenue here, this is a just shy of 5,000 square foot retail space. The gym will occupy probably about 75% of this retail space here, so the general public will have access. There'll be 2 elevators that go up to the gym, and then we'll have some additional retail space here off of 4th Street. Again, we don't have the fine, we don't have the fine details as of yet until the lease is completely finalized. How much space are going to be taking up? That is going to be a huge component of this building. Apart from Umbel being itself, like Umbel, the building, the gym is going to put Umbel and Flagler Village on the map here in Broward County. No questions asked. Inside the podium, on the north aspect here, on the 3rd and the 5th floor, we're going to have 2 indoor pickleball courts, 20-foot ceiling heights, air conditioned. And we'll also have a pet spa with a dog run on the 8th floor on the outside as well. Very pet-friendly building. Obviously, was that?
Sold.
There you go. Close floor, just bought a unit. So again, very pet-friendly pet spa, 2 indoor pickleball courts. And then coming into 3rd Street and 3rd Avenue right now, we'll have a 6,800 square foot retail space here off of 3rd Street. Which will be dedicated to a restaurant, hasn't been finalized yet. That'll come in the near future. And then as you enter the building, the main entrance is going to be directly off of 3rd Street and 3rd Avenue. This will be a Grand Plaza entryway. And as you enter into the building, we're going to have a 15,000 total square foot lobby space. Pretty much everything that you see inside of the sales gallery here is pulled out of the building. The flooring, the wallpaper you see here. The walls will be on a grander scale. You have 20-foot ceiling height. Inside the main portion of the lobby, the recessed LED lighting, the curvatures in the wall. We're gonna have a resident-only coffee bar inside the main portion of the lounge. There'll be 2 water features off to the right that will connect us into an additional lounge space that connects back into the parking garage. So again, just keeping that open, spacious, warm, welcoming feeling throughout the entire building. And then we're also going to have another entry point here. This is off the porte cochere. So we're going to actually have 2 access points to the garage, one off of 3rd Street and one off of 4th Street. And then there's going to be a porte cochere that's in the middle of the building. This is going to be your lobby entrance off the porte cochere. So both entrances will have 24/7 receptionists and concierge services, as well as 24/7 security. And we're also going to be using biometrics for entry points throughout the building. It's going to be the thumb or palm technology for the elevators as well. So security is a very high important factor for our developer. So tying that all into the building here. So apart from the building, unique aspect of the architectural design of the building, our residences are going to come fully finished and furnished. We're going to be offering real European oak wood flooring that you see in the back portion here. Our kitchens are going to have floor-to-ceiling cabinetry throughout. We're going to have white porcelain calico countertops. Standard finishes are going to come with the waterfall edges. The white porcelain calico backsplash is going to come standard as well. We're offering SMEG appliances. So you have an induction cooktop, convection oven. We're using speed ovens for the microwaves. You're going to have panel ready on your refrigerator, your dishwasher. The 3 bedrooms will come with a wine cooler. Pretty much you name it, you got it. And everything that you see and I'm talking about now comes absolutely standard. Every residence? Every single residence fully finished and furnished. Wow. Now, if you decide that you don't want the furniture, we can give you a credit towards your closing costs. Majority of those, that see the credit amount, they're like, I'm just going to take the furniture and go. Okay. Yep. So our bathrooms, the primary bathrooms will have floor-to-ceiling Italian porcelain tile throughout. You have a custom vanity, travertine countertops, Brizzo finishes throughout, custom mirrors. In the primary bathrooms, you're going to have a walk-in shower, so it'll be curbless walk-in shower. Like you see in the display bathroom in the back, the shower will have a niche with a backlit LED lighting throughout. You have the rain shower head, you have the handheld wand. Going into the secondary bathrooms, a little bit of a different design. We're going to be using fluted tile behind the vanity wall as well as in the tub shower combo. Still with a custom vanity as well as the travertine countertops and still Brizzo finishes throughout. There you go. Oh, just kidding. Yeah, I totally just jumped over that. All right. So now getting into amenities. This is a scale model of our amenity deck here. We can get a little bit more in detail, like one-on-one. I do want to take this opportunity now. Jennifer Sinadinos, Tyler Anderson, and Deb Steiner, all part of the sales team, is directed right behind here. Feel free to link up with any of us throughout the course of the night. We can give you a full breakdown if you guys want to schedule a private presentation to come in, either for yourself, learn a little bit more. If you have clients that be interested, more than happy to set up an appointment. So getting into the amenities, we have over 100,000 square feet of combined outdoor-indoor amenities. I don't know any other project that has that many square feet of amenity space. Pretty much anything from a movie theater and a bowling alley, you name it, we have. So the North Tower here is going to be more work-centric. We're also going to have like a dining room and a grab-and-go station. There will be a music recording studio. There's a game room. The South Tower here is going to be a little bit more on the fitness and spa. We're going to have its own private gym, specifically only for the residences. We're going to have the 2 pools. We're going to have a spa lounge with 2 treatment rooms, indoor-outdoor saunas, which we'll get into now. So this is a rendering viewpoint looking directly off of 3rd Avenue and 3rd Street at our Sunset Pool. Just now we're dropping down to the pool deck looking east through both towers. So we're going to have cabanas throughout. There will be a bar side pool. And this is going to be the sunrise pool here on the south tower, but on the north portion of it. It's going to have the jacuzzi as well. So ODA, the architect on the project, was very particular and very, into every single inch of the building, laying everything out the right way. So with the sunrise pool and sunset pool, obviously throughout the course of the day, shadow cast and everything else, you'll be able to enjoy 2 pools without the shadows. This is probably one of my favorite renderings, looking directly down viewpoint in between both towers right here. I really like to emphasize the architectural design again, how the building folds into the foot of the towers with the terraces wide open. We do not have any concrete dividers between any of the terraces, right? So if there is an adjoined terrace, it will have a opaque glass panel that will separate the terraces for privacy. But again, keeping that open, spacious area feeling throughout. Coming in, this is a rendering of the gym for the residents only. So this will all be on the 10th floor in the south tower here. This is a rendering of the Pilates studio. This is our yoga studio. This is our spa lounge with 2 treatment rooms. You can book a masseuse, massage therapist to come in. You don't need to have them go up to your residence. You can reserve the room space here. This is our indoor sauna. Same indoor sauna, different viewpoint looking to the exterior. So this is from the indoor looking to the outdoor sauna. And then we have 2 cold plunge pools along with a Zen garden that's going to be immediately off to the left. This is our indoor steam room. This is our music recording studio that's going to be in the North Tower. This is our arts and crafts studio. This is our game lounge, pool table, ping pong, relaxing sofa area with the TVs. This is our co-working station. So lots of open free space throughout. You have the general lounge space here. You have semi-private desks, as well as going off towards the north aspect on the North Tower. You're going to have independent, small office spaces that you'll be able to work out of. And then this is the resident lounge on the South Tower. So there's 2 main lounges that's going to be on the base of each tower, the amenity deck. This is on the South Tower overlooking the sunrise pool here. What I really like to point out here, our developer really puts a lot of attention to detail, and the amount of millwork that's going to be going into this building at our price point is extremely impressive. The developer is based out of Brooklyn, known as the Rapsky Group. This is their first project here in South Florida under dependable equities. They're a vertically integrated developer, meaning they're the developer, the GC, they run everything under one roof. Their quality control is impeccable. All the subs work directly for them. They source and supply all their own materials, which allows them to cut out the middleman and save a lot on the percentages through GCs and everything else. So that said, we're able to deliver an ultra luxury building, so to say, at a very affordable price point with the amenities and the offerings that Unbel does. This is the grab-and-go station, which will be available for the residents. People are able to come down to the 10th floor on the North Tower, grab a coffee, grab a beverage, snack. We're not sure yet if it's going to tie into the restaurant itself or to be independently serviced, but the residents will have access here. And this is going to be a lounge space directly off of the grab-and-go station, which will tie into the resident dining room here. So we have the bar space that's right here. Behind this wall is a chef's kitchen, so you can go ahead and book a private chef or a caterer, host an event, and if you needed a larger space, now you can tie in both of the rooms here that you can see right here on the north tower. So again, plenty of open space, free working throughout, and again, over 100,000 square feet, fully finished and furnished. Our price points are going to start at $470,000 for a studio. You're going to be in the 500s for one bedrooms. One bedrooms and a dens are going to be mid to high 6s, low 7s. Our two bedrooms are going to start right around 900,000, and our three bedrooms are going to start at $1.3 million right now. One of the most attractive aspects with our pricing structure is our deposit structure as well. 5% at contract, 5% 90 days later, 10% when we break ground, which is scheduled by the end of this year, 5% when we pour the amenity deck, an additional 5% will be top of that. We're paying 5% commissions, and we pay a contract. We've been paying commissions since we launched we launched 10/28. We started paying commissions the second week in December. And we've been paying commissions consistently throughout. I do not have a pre-sale percentage that I have to hit before we break ground. I don't have to sell 50, 60, 70% to pay commissions. You bring us the buyer, they purchase, they put their deposit down, we're paying you. I mean, they don't even wait 45 days. Sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's 2 weeks. Very generous. They look at it, you take care of us, we take care of you. Very simple, straightforward.
How sold are you now?
They don't want me giving exact percentages, but I can comfortably say since the beginning of the new year, we've had 42 contracts so far.
It's 775.
775. Yes. 775, 42 contracts. But that's just from the beginning of the year. I mean, we have a lot more. Please, go ahead,
I'm
Ben.
just clear, the 100,000 square foot of amenities does not include the commercial gym. That is the 100,000 square feet.
That is a misconception that people don't understand. That 30,000 square feet from the gym itself, completely separate. Again, resident only, 100,000 square feet of amenities.
What's the rental program?
30-day minimums, 12 times per year. You can rent day one, sell day one, no restriction.
And how about parking?
So every unit's gonna come with one space, 2-bedroom and a den, and the lower third is gonna come with two. The 2-bedroom, and a den, and the middle portion is gonna come with two, and the 3 bedrooms will come with two. Penthouses will come with either 3 or 4. We possibly will have additional parking, for purchase afterwards, but until at least with the gym is finalized and parking is 100% finalized, we won't know if there's additional parking
How big
spaces.
is the 3-bedroom?
3-bed. Pull this out. There's a lot of numbers that go through my head on a daily basis, but I'm glad to. Go ahead. In the meantime, I'll pull this up.
The question is the gym in the building the same gym that's going to be, are you coordinating with the people that are going to lease that gym?
Is the gym in
So
the building
you said there's a gym in the building for residents only,
on the 10th floor and 9th floor?
and then you said there was a gym that we were going to keep at the state of the art,
Yeah, it's going to be public gyms.
Right, the public gym, is it the same company? Two different companies?
2 different companies.
Got it.
2 different companies. Yeah.
So Matrix is the company for the inside?
First Service is going to run the building.
Gotcha.
And then once we can announce the gym.
If I
It's probably the worst, best kept secret in all of Rockland County. So I'm sure if you listen to the walls in here, they'll be good. So
No, it's all right, Kenny. I feel like there will be so many additional one-on-one questions. I wonder if it's okay if we.
yeah, do push forward and then we can go.
We have so much great
Yep.
information too, in addition to this exciting development. I thought we.
Yeah, absolutely. No, 100%.
And everyone can reach out to Kenny. We'll have some Q&A after
Yeah.
these one-on-one.
One-on-one, Deb, Jen, Tyler, right in
And
the back as well.
hopefully you'll be sharing a lot of information with us because we're not going to remember it all, but we're all so excited.
So if you don't have the broker assets, we can give you the digital QR code to scan. You can get your broker assets before you walk out the door. Absolutely. Yes.
Is everyone okay moving on to the next? Not yet, I'm going to introduce you in just a second, but Kenny, really thank you. We're very excited. Overwhelmed by how much is going on right now. Here, I don't know if there are any old-time Fort Lauderdale people that are here this evening, but my dear old friend Peter Feldman, who we lost some time ago, really founded the idea of Flagler Village. He fought with the GDA. He helped really create this market. His office was right down the street on 4th Street. He and his dog Harley and his brownstone. He'd say, Carolyn, what do you think? I think you have a little bit of time to go. I mean, there were bones in the street. He cleaned up. He really fought every minute to, and he would be astonished by what's going on. So I have to say, Peter, we're thinking of you.
I was just recording. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, it is this.
So Boom Balance and Beyond, our 2025 South Florida market forecast. We have two extraordinary guest speakers this evening. Anna Bozovic, the founder of Analytics Miami and the region's most sought-after market analysis. I live for your market reports, by the way. I've been so stuck in Miami, and I sell Broward and Palm Beach, but it's so much data, real-time information. So hold for just a moment before we introduce Anna. We also have Matthew Schnurr, the Research and Innovation Manager from Fort Lauderdale's fantastic Downtown Development Authority. Hold for applause. We'll introduce Matthew in just a moment. Anna's going to lead things off. I know, we're waking everybody up and talking, just so much going on. But I would love to just provide some background on your extraordinary bio. So, I'm wobbling a little bit, sorry about that. Let's reacquaint ourselves with Anna. For the past decade, Anna's been publishing long-term trend analysis for the South Florida real estate market. She served four terms as governor of the Miami Association of Realtors, and she's often quoted by international and national press on topics pertaining to the real estate market. Her real estate reports are outcome agnostic and are published with the intent of bringing truth and clarity to the market. They are entirely data-driven and strive to place local market action within the context of macro trends. In her reports, Anna charts the whole market cycle and emphasizes supply and demand fundamentals across market segments. Anna has studied math and physics at Columbia University, and her reports draw upon her abilities to see past the noise to recognize patterns in data. Our Gold Coast chapter last heard from her in June 2022 at our event in Pompano Beach, the Ritz-Carlton Residences. We are thrilled to welcome Anna. I also have to tell you, she's an MMA,
Jiu-jitsu.
jiu-jitsu. She kicks some serious, but this beautiful dynamic.
It's my double bite.
If you see her videos of rope climbing and just flooring people to the mat, I'm so proud. Come on over.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. What's that process? Like this? Okay.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for having me again. I really appreciate coming here. And I love having the opportunity to dig into these submarkets, like Fort Lauderdale, for example, where I may not necessarily focus upon counties. My newsletter usually focuses on Miami-Dade County. And when I dig into these submarkets, I find that it corroborates my thesis and belief that the pattern that we're seeing play out is in fact a tri-county pattern. So we're going to look tri-county, dig into Fort Lauderdale, dig into the drivers, and you're going to see that the wealth and talent migration, what it's doing to the Fort Lauderdale market, is very much the same as what it's doing to the whole tri-county market. We're all sharing the benefits. So I love this title, Boom, Balance, and Beyond. So where is the boom? This is the first question. We're going to talk about this boom. What is it? And so big hint, it is the wealth and talent migration. I know this room is full of agents who I'm assuming work at the high end, so that is where the boom is. And we can measure that by dollars spent. This is my first little metric here. So Tri-County, this is Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach, looking at condos and single-family homes, we're up 48% versus pre-COVID. But now if we actually isolate for dollar volume of 10 million plus, we see an even bigger spike. We're up 256% versus pre-COVID. And the pattern that's holding Tri-County is that the higher up you go in price, and the higher up you go in price per square foot, which isolates for prime location and new products, that's where the biggest spikes are, because that is catering to the appetites of the wealth and talent migration. Next, I zeroed in on, this is actually Fort Lauderdale, this is the typo, I apologize, I did this today. So ignore Tri-County, but this is just specific to Fort Lauderdale. So the city of Fort Lauderdale, total dollars spent now versus pre-COVID, up 43%. And then we're looking at past $10 million. It basically didn't exist before in the city of Fort Lauderdale. And now it exists, up 150% versus pre-COVID. And this is again, to greater or lesser extents, depending on the submarket, this pattern is playing out tri-county. And as you go granular, it's the same pattern in all of our municipalities. It is the very high end that is experiencing the boom from the wealth and talent migration. So when we talk about our market, it's very important to talk about, we don't have one market. That is the first important thing to realize. This is a snippet I contributed to a Wall Street Journal article 2 weeks ago, and I was very happy that they finally listened to me. I had like Professor on. I spent an hour on the phone with the journal a few times over 3 weeks. And I've been trying for years to get them to publish that we have distinct markets with distinct realities. And they were a little bit anti-Miami about a few years ago, but now I guess they're recognizing which way they're flowing, and they've jumped forward. And I was very happy with this quote, that the price points that we have now didn't exist pre-COVID, and that the sheer appetite is a completely different reality. And again, this is playing out tri-county, and I do not see it changing. And this is despite, this is the city of Fort Lauderdale, we're tracking total transaction volume, all price points, condos and single family. Total transaction volume is down. And the general press will report upon this and will say, oh look, but sales are down. And overall, sales are down. 1% will be flat year over year, but 50% versus pre-COVID. This is because of losses of transaction volume at the low end, not the high end. And the story at the high end gets lost when we speak about the market as a monolith. And this same pattern is holding Tri-County. If you look at the whole market, overall we're going to say fewer homes transacting. That's only because of the low end. If we remove the low end from the equation, we have spikes in transaction volume. All right, next. Now I'm going to show this here. So we're going to isolate for prices per square foot and inventory levels. There's also a lot of misplaced press talking about spikes in active listings in the state of Florida. Many of these articles conflate our reality with that of the rest of Florida. And this is also not accurate. When we speak about Manhattan real estate, do we speak about it in the same sentence as Albany or Buffalo? We do not. These are separate realities. And it's the same thing for South Florida. So we're going to go through all three counties, starting with Miami-Dade. We have condos past 1,000 per square foot, up 226% versus pre-COVID, and they're all up year over year. Single family past 1,000 square foot, up over 7x, 631% versus pre-COVID. And meanwhile, overall inventory levels, not segmenting, the whole markets here, are still below pre-COVID levels. And this is the pattern holding, again, Tri-County. We're going to look here. We have Palm Beach and Broward counties, same pattern. And if you'll notice, Broward County has the highest percentage increase for single family past 1,000 a square foot, because simply speaking, there was very little product here over 1,000 a square foot pre-COVID. And this is where that growth is coming in as sort of the buying pressure gets, squeezed in from north and south, from Miami-Dade and Palm Beach counties. The highest percentage growth is here. Both of these counties also still have inventory levels less than pre-COVID. So all of our markets are in fact far higher than they were pre-COVID. Next, so what is causing this boom, right? So I was saying in the early days of the post-COVID aftermath, that, and I'm looking at it's in the press, it's documented, I said that we're in the early days of a transformation and it will not go backwards. There are a lot of people saying, oh no, it's a flash in the pan, it's just the post-COVID, blah, blah, blah. This is not true. And we're still in the early days of a massive transformation and shift in financial focus, financial polarities in our country. And to accept this, we all kind of have to cleanse our palates. Because people tend to think that the present is sacrosanct, that how life is how life will always be. And that is, of course, not true. Think back 100 years ago, how drastically different was life then. Why, in fact, change should be faster now because of the internet, right? Communications are faster, all of that. So change is inevitable, history does not go backwards. Momentum cycles build, and most people do not recognize trends until they're so big that they hit them in the face. But things don't just magically reverse for no reason. And this all ties into something I'm calling Long Miami and Long America, which I'll get into. I've used this phrase Long Miami, but it really applies to all of South Florida. It's like when you go long a stock, you believe in the long-term upside of it. And this is based on my belief that America was built very much on entrepreneurship, on creation. People come here to create. No place within this country stays the optimal location for creation forever. And entrepreneurship, like all forces, will go towards the path of least resistance. And South Florida has become this fertile ground for creation. That's what we're getting at. And I see that we're still in the early days of this building of momentum, and that it has honestly just begun, and we have to embrace the inevitability of this. And where do we see this sort of quantified? This is a chart showing population gains across America between 2020 and 2024. The biggest gainers, of course, are Texas and Florida. We're kind of neck and neck. They edge us out a little bit, but we're 4 times smaller. So they're only edging us out a tiny bit. Now, why is this population shift happening? So this is a map showing top marginal tax rates across our country, and this is one showing the flow of people. It's not an accident. What's happening in America post-COVID is that high-tax states are losing population while low-tax states are gaining them. And we're regaining tax-paying population. We know this from all the IRS data coming in. And so you have to ask yourself, why would this reverse? Are we all of a sudden going to see a net exodus of taxpayers back to high-tax states? Probably not. Almost certainly not. So this is going to keep building the positive momentum that we have here. And at the same time, it's going to feed negative momentum cycles at the points of origin, because the top 1% of taxpayers in high tax jurisdictions account for over 45% of their revenue. So that's going to be a negative death loop that feeds at those points while we're benefiting from the positive that's happening. Next, so this is a little Venn diagram that I've used since the immediate aftermath of COVID. And this is also why I felt so strongly that this was not going to reverse. When you look at history, you have periods that are characterized by rapid change. The most recent period like this was the immediate aftermath of World War II. The world after looked very different than the world before. So periods of rapid change are usually ushered in by 3 forces. Right now, we're in the middle of a Venn diagram. We have empire cycles that I'll call, which is, fiscal health, escalation of, polarizing belief systems, all that stuff within our nation. Tech adoption, which is the internet. The internet came at the end of the 20th century, but it was adopted piecemeal. It went like do, and it was brought into existing habits. We never cleansed the palate, right? We never redid work around the internet. It was incorporated into existing infrastructure. And then we have war pandemic and the restrictions and movements of people, which allowed for the breaking of habits. So we're in the middle of this Venn diagram, and a very, very different reality is emerging. So think of COVID as a grand accelerator of trends. And there is an ongoing shift in focus away from 20th century epicenters and realities. New York City was the capital of the post-World War II, post-Bretton Woods, pre-internet world. And I grew up there. I've been here for 12 years, but I love New York City. And this is not a dramatic statement. New York is not going to die. London is still a huge, amazing city, but it used to be the capital of the world before New York. There was a shift in focus. Before London, it was Amsterdam. That city's still there too. This is all just part of the inevitability of where entrepreneurship and where creation flows, and right now it's flowing away from what I'm calling these 20th century epicenters. So what did the 20th century give us? They gave us personal income taxes, which hopefully they abolished the IRS. Wouldn't that be great? I'm saying now it's great. Right? Getting rid of government theft. I never thought I'd see the day. And the 5-day, 40-hour work week. So why would we be trapped by this reality forever? That was Henry Ford who introduced that in the 20th century. Why? It's not sacrosanct. So in fact, we know in the immediate aftermath of COVID, households with higher incomes had the highest percentage of people who shifted to working from home or hybrid in some capacity, which makes sense because they're working off their intellectual capital. They don't have to be physically present. And then also we saw that the share of working age Americans who moved in the previous year, there's a divergence between college degree and no college degree as a kind of crude barometer, I guess, of income and job type. So we're seeing, and this of course ties into the map showing where tax earners are moving. So we're seeing people who are net taxpayers, who use their intellectual capital, moving to states that are basically zero tax states. And then also tended to be low lockdown states during COVID. That's also the correlation. I think it was part of boiling the frog to one thing. People left. Next, the Wall Street Journal. I kind of like the phrasing of this, the high tax brain drain. So the Miami area, this was IRS data from a year or two ago, is the largest recipient of what they're calling high-value millennials. Millennials filing over 200,000 gross per year. And so that, of course, is not the retiree story. These are young, ambitious people starting less. And the Wall Street Journal very correctly points out here that there is a trickle-out effect of losing young, ambitious people. And this is what's happening from these 20th century epicenters. The effects of this have not begun to be felt yet. Next, so how can we measure the wealth and talent migration? Well, this is a great stat. This was in Bloomberg about a year ago. The 6 fastest growing southern states, of which Florida is one, now account for more of national GDP than the Washington, D.C., New York, Boston border. Similarly, we had over $1 trillion of assets under management in both California and New York between Q1 of 2020 and Q1 of 2023. And the state of Florida now has more AUM than the state of Connecticut for the first time. And again, why would that reverse? Are they going back to the high tax states that had high lockdowns? Probably not. So where do we see the effects of this in our markets? Well, we have all sorts of wealth reports coming up. This was from Knight Frank, and it was transaction volume of 10 million plus. In this chart of the top 11, why they have the top 11 list out of it? It's 11 cities here. We have both Miami and Palm Beach. And Miami was number 5 in Q4 of last year. And if we add those two, we're at number 1. And I think that the Tri-County area here will connect, much like the New York metropolitan area has. We have the Bright Line, we have transit, we have all of this. It's a general area. So as an area, we're right at the top of this list. And in that quote from Frank Knight, we have Palm Beach and Miami and Dubai. We mentioned 3 places, and 2 of them are South Florida as leading in the world for ultra luxury growth. Next, we had just a journal article saying that 4 of the top 10 best job markets in the country in the state of Florida. And then, of course, we have Gables Estates around the most expensive area in the country. And most notably, pre-COVID, 6 of the 10 priciest neighborhoods in America were in California. Now 7 of 10 are in Florida. Wow. So why would this reverse? Oh, this is obviously before the tragedy in California too, which it's a horrible thing that happened, but you know that all those people are not going to stay in California. A certain percent of them will leave, and that will add on top of this. Next, and similar one, this is a group that tracks the movement of centimillionaire growth, and they had Naples on the list, they had Miami on the list, they have Boca on the list, they have Fort Lauderdale on the list. So all these cities in Florida are now appearing on this international stage, where 10 years ago they were not there, and 20 years ago it would have been crazy to think to put them there. All right, so is all this sustainable? Well, let's talk about cash. So there was an article, it was a study by UBS last year. They talked about bubbles, like global bubbles, and they used Miami as the clickbait. They put Miami in the title. And I thought it was it was an egregious article, because their entire definition of bubble was speed of price appreciation. They say prices have grown so quickly, it's a bubble. That was the only factor they used. And that is not how you measure a bubble. Bubbles we define looking backwards in retrospect after they collapse. And why do asset bubbles pop? It's because there's usually crazy usage of irresponsible debt when the underlying asset can no longer sustain the debt. It crumbles like a house of burning cards. And so that article made no mention, for example, of our high all cash percentages. So past $1 million, condos were 76% all cash, Tri-County, houses 50%. And if you isolate this on a price per square foot basis, it's even higher. So in Miami-Dade, I happen to know, past 3,000 square foot, condos were 82% all cash last year. So, and this pattern holds Tri-County. So this market, the part of our market that's lifting it, just the high end, is built on cash. And if we look at the supply and demand relationships now versus pre-COVID, it's actually tighter. Supply has grown, but not at the pace of demand. It's a tighter market. So it was very irresponsible to call this a bubble. They didn't mention any of this. All they mentioned was how quickly prices have grown. So it was kind of a nonsense study, but it was quoted by everyone. Next, this is a point. This is a point also that is a flaw in our market, and I feel is an underappreciated point. So I finally got the Wall Street Journal to print this. An article that I contributed to 2 weeks ago had this point and also the crazy growth at the high end. So Tri-County single-family home listings below 500,000 are down 73% versus pre-COVID. Miami-Dade was down 86% January this year versus January 2019. It's basically a disappearing price point because
we just don't have them.
And you can't replace it because even if somebody wants to, they can't. From land costs, construction costs, it's like new construction condos don't exist below 1,000 square foot because you can't deliver it. It's not possible.
I got plenty of
How much are you?
At 50 units of availability at $980 a square foot average.
At what price?
$980 a square foot.
$980. Okay, you're at 1,000.
No, like average across your availability right now.
Okay, and it's dry out for Lauderdale. You know what I'm saying? You have yeah.
I'm just
So,
taking the opportunity.
all right, no, you're absolutely right. Thank you for pointing out. And it was, I believe, Andari in Fort Lauderdale, they were at $950 at one point, correct? So, so that exists. But for example, in the city of Miami, there's nothing below 1,300 or 1,400 square foot for construction. But that would be the lowest. You're absolutely correct. And so those units that are $500,000, they're small. They're studios. And it's for that reason. It's because you can't build at a cheaper price per square foot. So single family is not coming back at this price in any prime location. And this is also a floor on the market. It's the cash plus this. How can this market collapse? There's no inventory and you have heavy cash. And people don't appreciate what a squeeze this is in the market. So this is also an affordability crisis, separate point. I am optimistic about the Live Local Act, delivering inventory, all that stuff. But this is a real force in our market that I feel is very underappreciated. Okay, just quick charts of median pricing. We have all three counties. As you can see, we have, and this is really what that study was talking about. It said we're up 73% in Miami-Dade, 66% here for condos here, 77, 80 for houses. So pretty consistent growth, Tri-County. Again, very, very, very similar patterns holding. Next, is there room for growth? Well, look at this. The Miami Association of Realtors put this together from recent Knight Frank data. We're looking at what $1 million buys you in select prime cities. How many square feet? Square meters, I'm sorry, it's square meters, yeah. And so Miami, compared to other global cities, still has a ways to go. So the prices that people are delivering now are not shocking at a global level, they're just new for Miami. So as far as the price expectations and appetites of an international audience, or not, even Northeast audience, it's not crazy what's happening here. So they're looking at this, people are willing to pay higher prices globally, and people from the Northeast are used to paying higher prices, so there's still very much runway on pricing. And then, of course, we have Stephen Ross, we have Citadel. It's one of those things I say, these guys, they've been so good at seeing where the trends are going, where the path is. And if they're going all in and putting their money on something, I would take that as a very strong endorsement. And higher than bad press or press from, but often originates from our feeder jurisdictions, as I'll call it. Those are reporters kind of having identity crisis and lamenting our success. It's true, no. And these are people who are visionaries actually putting their money where their mouth is. So I would look to them more than people who are just sort of, what is it, what's the expression? It's like when people watch the UFC and they're on their couch and they're criticizing the fighter. That's kind of what reporters are doing. And we have Bezos, of course, everyone knows that, $250 million in Indian Creek. And also interesting story about him is in his home state, they were proposing a tax on tradable net worth above $250 million that was targeting, I believe, 5 people. And his theoretical contribution would have been 45% of what they projected this tax would bring. And he left. What did you think was going to? And then nothing happens to those politicians. They do this with impunity, at scale. So their only objective is to stay in power. So they're going to keep pandering to the growing percentage that does not pay in. Because when I talk about negative momentum cycles and points of origin, they're just going to double down because all they want to do is stay in power. So we're going to keep benefiting from the unfortunate stupidity of their actions. Next, underlying regions. Okay, we have to recognize that the underlying conditions fueling the wealth and talent migration will not disappear or reverse. It's a simple point. Why would there be a net reversal back to high tax states? It's like the cat's out of the bag. People have figured out they don't have to stay, and I don't think that it's going to all of a sudden reverse for no reason. And to recognize that the country is reshaping around a new 21st century reality. So I'm a big believer in a very positive outlook on history. I wouldn't choose to live 100 years ago, none of you probably would either. And at any point in history, you spin the globe, not all places are good. So there are places that are an upswing. And for the purposes of our adult lives, we want to be in the place that's on the upswing. And I firmly believe this is one of those places. So to benefit from that, recognize that we don't have one market, it's multiple markets. Educate your clients, your colleagues, that the press makes misstatements. What is their motivation? And are they looking at the market as a whole, or are they segmenting it? That Wall Street Journal article that I did, that was one of the only segmentations that achieved in the press. Reporters who love to quote me when the market was bad refused to quote me on positive points for years in the Miami market. They did. But now they finally are, because they're figuring out, again, which way the wind is blowing. So check out the journal article and recognize that what we're seeing here, the wealth and talent migration, has truly just begun. And we're here. We're already here. We're lucky. So we just have to align with it and recognize it's going to keep coming. Please all take Instagram. It's me doing nerdy things and me training jujitsu.
And you're awesome. Thank you
Thank you so much for having me, everyone.
And I would love to welcome Matthew Schnur. Matthew is the Research and Innovation Manager at the Fort Lauderdale Downtown Development Authority, a public-private partnership that powers the experience, prosperity, and growth of downtown Fort Lauderdale. Matthew leverages his experience as an economist, policy advisor, and political strategist to build more vibrant cities. His focus on the future of cities and economic development began at the Walt Disney Company in a role at the intersection of macroeconomics research and international marketing. He also contributed to shaping politics on the future of work and cities as part of former Colorado Governor and current U.S. Senator John Hickenlooper's 2020 presidential campaign. Matthew currently serves on the research and government relations communities for the International Downtown Association and the United Way of Broward's Public Policy Committee. Master Brokers, please welcome Matthew Schnurr. We did a lot of chatting.
Well, thanks so much for that lovely and kind introduction, and what a tap act to follow from Anna. So what we all took away here was that we're in a global transformation, and that South Florida is at the center of it. So what I'm here to do today is take you behind the numbers of Fort Lauderdale and Broward County's evolution, and boil down a lot of what Anna said into what this means for the future of Fort Lauderdale. We're clearly in a global competition for talent and investment, but that also extends to cities competing for who can have the best quality of life and who can enhance their livability the fastest. So Fort Lauderdale, as we all know, has been under quite a transformation over the last several decades, from the seasonal spring break destination of the past to what we are today, according to the Urban Land Institute and PricewaterhouseCoopers, a leading 18-hour city. That means we're a top live, work, play destination in the same category of a Denver, a San Diego, a Charlotte. We all know that Fort Lauderdale is one of the global yachting capitals of the world. And thanks to a lot of the progress made in Miami, here in our backyard in Fort Lauderdale, as well as in Palm Beach and Boca, we're now the geographic center of the Wall Street of the South. And thanks to our Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers, we're a city of champions. But not only in the sport of hockey, but thanks to the presence of Lionel Messi choosing to live in Fort Lauderdale, the expanded aquatic center where Olympic champion swimmers and divers come to train in our city every year, and the new pickleball facility called the Fort, the world's first pickleball stadium in the country, right here in our backyard in Fort Lauderdale. We truly are a city of champions, and it's time for us as a community to celebrate that and continue to tell that story. So as I said, I'm here to really take you through the numbers driving Fort Lauderdale's evolution and how we're shaping the future of Broward. Now, downtown Fort Lauderdale is a leading economic engine for Broward County. As we think back to 2020 and the immediate aftermath of the pandemic, conversations around cities and downtowns nationally were, downtowns are dead. New York's not coming back. San Francisco's not coming back either. Is this really true? Maybe, maybe not. New York will always be a great city. But what we're seeing here in South Florida, in particular in mid-sized cities all across the country like Fort Lauderdale, we're extremely well positioned to benefit from all this new investment, both from talent and real estate development. So downtown Fort Lauderdale today is a $36 billion economy. That virtually grew overnight. It's one of the top 3 economic engines of Broward County alongside the airport and the seaport, and we're well on our way to becoming a $40 billion economy by 2030, if not earlier. For example, just in 2019, downtown Fort Lauderdale was about a $30 billion economy. So over about a 10-year period, one city, and when I talk about downtown Fort Lauderdale, a small 2-square-mile radius from 17th Street Causeway to about Sunrise Boulevard, parts of Las Olas Boulevard to the east, to Broward Center from the north to the west, in a 2.2-square-mile area. Within the next 5 years, $40 billion of economic activity generated. We're a destination of choice. The downtown population has increased by 42% over the last 5 years. 7,000 new people just within downtown alone. If you actually remove that population growth from Broward County, if you took downtown Fort Lauderdale over the map over the past 5 years, Broward would have actually lost residents. Who's fueling this? Mainly increase in young professionals, about 39% over the past 5 years, and families with kids. Used to be 5 years ago, you'd see baby strollers on the street that'd be filled with dogs, but now it's kids. And it's a welcome development, long overdue. And where are these folks coming from? It's a combination of really 3 places. New York. Anyone want to guess the second? Shout it out. Miami. And the western suburbs of Broward. But as Fort Lauderdale, as our urban core has continued to grow, more folks in South Florida and beyond have chosen to build roots in our unique, coastal, cool, urban lifestyle experience. We're shaping Broward's future. As we all know, Broward is largely built out. There's nowhere to go now but up. But over the next 25 years, 60% of Broward's population growth will be in coastal cities like Fort Lauderdale. And 83% of all new housing investment will be built through vertical redevelopment, whether that be properties like Ombel, built in old parking lots, or redevelopment of old commercial property. That's the future of Broward County that we're expecting to experience. And downtown Fort Lauderdale will add 14,000 more residents by 2030. That will take our downtown population up to 40,000 people. Put it in perspective. Just 20, 25 years ago, about 1,000 or 2,000 people lived in Fort Lauderdale's urban core. This is a full-scale transformation, evolution of the market that has happened literally overnight. But it's also important to note that great downtowns have great single-family neighborhoods around them, and great single-family neighborhoods have great downtowns. By concentrating all of this density in Fort Lauderdale's urban core, we're able to preserve great surrounding neighborhoods like Victoria Park, Sailboat Bend, Rio Vista, and so many others. And then we talk about the future of Broward County. Every 5 years, the county puts out a population and demographics report called the PFAM. It's one of the most fascinating reads that you can find in the development and demographics sector that local governments here put out. And this report actually said for the first time that half of Broward cities are expected to experience little or no population growth over the next 20 years because we're largely built out. So it used to be 5-10 years ago, the Broward as a whole would add about 5,000 units per year. We're unlikely to reach that number ever again. And largely, if county is expecting to build 3,000 to 5,000 units a year going forward, at least half of that will be concentrated in downtown Fort Lauderdale alone. So a lot of investors are starting to realize this, and the Urban Land Institute recently named Fort Lauderdale as the second best city in the country for home building. And that's because we've built, as a city, more housing in our urban core than the downtowns of Austin, West Palm Beach, and Tampa combined over the last 5 years. And we're a city reaching new heights. Over $10 billion in real estate investment over the next 10 to 20 years based off projects under construction, planned and on the books, or projects that have recently filed for approval. So 50 projects, almost 20,000 units, half of that concentrated right here in Flatwood Village. And we're starting to experience a nice growth of other commercial property. Kenny mentioned T3 Fat Village earlier, adding about 350,000 square feet of creative and tech-driven office, as well as major investments in tourism, which I'll talk about in a bit. But with all of this investment that's been long planned for the last 30 years since the downtown master plan was implemented, it's an equally determined focus to enhance livability and quality of life. The city, the DDA, and its private sector partners combined are investing more than $3 billion for major infrastructure improvements and investments in civic amenities that will be likely over the next 5 to 15 years. Underground infrastructure like water, sewer, a new water treatment plant, and so many other amenities that will enhance quality of life day to day for our residents. There are a couple projects that we're incredibly excited on that will transform the experience on the beach. About what we're going to see at BEMR with the addition of the St. Regis Resort and Residence really speaks to this branded development boom that we're experiencing here in Fort Lauderdale, something that Miami has experienced for over a decade now. This trend's finally coming to Fort Lauderdale. And the Swimming Hall of Fame. This is the center of this. This is the highest dive tower in the Western Hemisphere. The only one of its kind elsewhere is actually in China. And with these swimming pool facilities here, this is a place where Olympic champions routinely train. Folks like Katie Ledecky, who are routinely in town to continue to reach their full potential here in Fort Lauderdale. And this project will add Michelin star restaurants, a public aquarium for Fort Lauderdale residents, really elevating the beach as more of a family-friendly destination over the next several years. We couldn't be more excited. Then we think about the future of sports and entertainment in our city. The world's first pickleball stadium, $30 million investment on city-owned land funded by private developers. War Memorial was nearly a $100 million investment now by the Florida Panthers Hockey Club, our Stanley Cup champions, to create a new concert venue, skating rinks, public amenities, to add new activities and livelihood to Holiday Park. And we're undergoing a public space renaissance. Great cities need great parks. When you go around to cities on the rise, it's really the quality of your public spaces reflects the soul, the long-term path of a community. So at the DDA, we've made a commitment that downtown Fort Lauderdale needs great parks. And we're investing $15 million through a P4, a public-private philanthropic partnership between the DDA, the City of Fort Lauderdale, State of Florida, a private restaurateur that's going to come to Heisinger Park, and over $5 million of private donations to improve a signature public space along our iconic Riverwalk. We're excited to create Fort Lauderdale's iconic outdoor living room, dining room, and backyard, all in one waterfront location fronting the New River and Los Olas Boulevard. Construction is underway currently, and we're set to reopen by the end of the year. And we're an engine of commerce. Fort Lauderdale is the geographic center of the Wall Street of the South. 68,000 employees here in Fort Lauderdale. We've added 3,000 over the past year, largely driven by tech and finance. 20%, and we've experiencing a 20% increase in technology jobs since 2021. An exciting fact of note that I'm excited about is that we have a return to work rate of about 90% amongst all businesses on Los Olas Boulevard. This is a number that's leading the nation and speaks to the quality of life, livability, the fact that talent and companies want to be in Fort Lauderdale. Some of the projects that will continue to transform our economy over the next couple of years: T3 Fat Village, major mixed-use complex with office buildings actually made out of timber. Think about it, a building made out of timber in the middle of South Florida. It's never been done before, but this major investment by Hines and Urban Street Development speaks to their vision that Fort Lauderdale is a rising creative and technology hub, akin to the cities that have this type of development like Denver, Atlanta, Minneapolis, and Austin. One project that I think isn't being talked about enough that will have a remarkable impact on Fort Lauderdale's evolution is a movie studio project led by a group called Infinite Reality and a partnership with Google Cloud. This is a group that's committed to bring the future of entertainment, film, television production right here to the heart of Fort Lauderdale with augmented reality and artificial intelligence at the center of it, thanks to the work of Google. This is going to be a catalyst that's going to encourage many major tech companies to set up shop in Fort Lauderdale and bring regional headquarters here over the next 5 to 10 years. And we're seeing a major tourism evolution here in our Fort Lauderdale, in our downtown. We've added about 1,000 hotel rooms in downtown Fort Lauderdale over the past 5 years, which has tripled our inventory. New properties like the Del Mar and the Hyatt Centric. We're on the verge of adding a boutique hotel called the Whitfield on Los Olas, Fort Lauderdale's first 5-star boutique hotel, which will be a major asset to elevate the quality of the retail experience right on Los Olas. You know, downtown didn't used to be a major destination for tourists. The beach used to be the only game in town. Just 5 years ago, before we had all this new hotel inventory, only 7% of overnight stays from visitors were in downtown. That number is up to 32%. About 1 out of every 3 hotel visitors to Fort Lauderdale is staying in our downtown. And we're just getting started. The airport is poised to go under a major expansion over the next decade, expanding its capacity from about 35 million passengers per year to 50 million. And Port Everglades just hit record passenger traffic exceeding the number of 4 million. So there's a lot to come, and we haven't got it into the new convention center that's about to open. So we need to continue to invest and sustain momentum for one of America's fastest growing mid-sized cities. And that's where we need all of your help. We need you to help tell the story, advocate for major investments like commuter rail through a modern tunnel under the New River, for major investments in our streets, sidewalks, public spaces, so that we continue to build and create one of the most livable destinations in South Florida and beyond.